Welcome back to the Summer Throwback Playlist. Guys, this is a more recent episode, but it flew to the top of the charts, and I know why. It's because we hit on biofeedback. The concept of biofeedback is so revolutionary for people because we have been tossed around between this spectrum. I feel like we all have whiplash from being told we have to diet to trust your body knows everything. And it does know a lot, but there is this beautiful middle ground called biofeedback, which is what your body's saying to you. And sometimes it's telling us, hey, listen up, I need help. And sometimes it's telling us, hey, this is great, keep doing that. But the key is learning to understand biofeedback. One of the things we're unpacking inside my programs these days is the different types of biofeedback. So we have physical biofeedback, which is a lot of what we talk about on the podcast, like hunger and satiety. This is what we were all introduced to through intuitive eating. Then we have emotional biofeedback. This is the one that makes everything messy. Like when we're feeling things, it impacts our hunger levels and our blood sugar levels. And then, of course, there is clinical biofeedback. And a lot of what we're talking about on the podcast today is your clinical biofeedback. These are the new tests that we are running inside our programs and our clinics, and it's just been absolutely groundbreaking. So I hope you enjoy this discussion on biofeedback, such a fun part of empowered eating, and it's so critical to your journey. To learn more about connecting with us and getting some advanced biofeedback testing, check out the show notes. I'd love to answer your questions on how we can get this clinical information in your hands so you can better understand your body. All right, friend, without further ado, let's continue this series. Hope you're having a great summer. Enjoy. Welcome to Fuel Her Awesome, the nutrition pep talk to supercharge your week. I'm Jess, registered dietitian and empowered eating coach, here to help you take your health to that next level. In these bite-sized episodes, we cut right through the noise and blend science with biofeedback and values, all while teaching you how to trust your intricately and beautifully designed body. Because here's the deal, you are awesome, and life is an invitation to show up that way. But you can't do it without food. So let's lean in as we explore how to fuel your awesome with empowered eating. Hey, welcome back to the Fuel Her Awesome show. Today we're talking about your body, your diet, and how to unlock the power of personalized nutrition. Now, I love this topic because I personally have had a very complicated relationship with food, and I don't know if you're the same, but chances are if you are listening to this podcast and you are a woman, you are in the same category because the reality is food is complicated, and that complication and that complicated relationship is confounded by cultural expectations, cultural noises. And I've gone through seasons where I feel like food is the enemy, then where I feel like there was an obsession with food. But now I have learned to walk this middle ground where goals and intention meet grace. And let me tell you, this balance, this flexibility, it truly is a game changer. And what I'm realizing is that it's not normal for women in our world to feel this way. It's more normal for us to be stressed about what to eat and how our body is reacting to the foods we eat. So I'm really excited to talk today about how we can actually dive into personalized nutrition. I will never forget the moment I decided to take better care of my body. It was after my first son was born. That's when I started shifting away from intuitive eating into what I now call empowered eating. And this is where nutrition started to align with my value system, with the kind of woman I wanted to be and how I wanted to show up in the world. I started to align with my body's needs and ultimately my life. And as it turned out to be one of the most supportive choices I have ever made in my entire life. It has been so life-giving. Because here's the reality. Life throws us curveballs. It's going to happen. There's no way around it. And over the last several years, I felt more of them coming my way. I have navigated hormone imbalances, gut health struggles, and insomnia. And if I didn't have the foundation of empowered eating, I know these challenges would have felt incredibly overwhelming. But instead, I have these tools to lean on, and I'm so grateful for them. And that's what I'm sharing with you here today and inside the empowered eating model. Now, there's a common narrative inside eating disorder recovery. So if you're someone that used to have an eating disorder, or maybe you know someone in your life that has one, I just want to kind of lay this on the table because I think it's crucial to this conversation that we're going to have today. But there is this common narrative that I do not agree with. And it is this idea that once you have struggled with disordered eating, you will always struggle with disordered eating. And I hear it over and over again. And let me say this loud and clear, sister. This is not true. Whether you relate to my personal story or you have a loved one who does, know this: food freedom is 100% possible in your life. At the core of an eating disorder, really any disordered eating, it's not really about the food. It's about identity. It's about believing your worth is tied to how you look. When that belief shifts, when you know your own worth, nutrition stops being about control and starts becoming about care. When this shift happens, this is when the whole world of food and body science and biofeedback, it opens up to us in a way that feels empowering and not restrictive. One of the tools that has made all the difference in my journey, and I've seen it over and over in my clients, is the tool of biofeedback. This is how your body communicates to you. It has helped me reconnect with my body and make choices that truly support my well-being. It's not based on what somebody else told me. It's not based on what I read on clickbait news articles. It's truly based on what my body is communicating to me. And today we're going to dive in on how you can use it. Now, if you tuned in last week, you're up to speed on this, but just in case you didn't, I want to just outline the few changes that this podcast has gone through in the last couple of weeks. We have now shifted to these quick empowered eating pep talks. So every Monday you can expect a 15-minute empowered eating pep talk here to supercharge your week. And in each episode, I'm going to cover one nutrition topic through the empowered eating lens. And we'll hit on three things, the three components of empowered eating. We'll have a values compass, a biofeedback boss tip, and a nerdy nutrition nugget. So we're going to cover each of those in every episode. And for today, it's all on biofeedback. So let's start with that values compass. And this is tying this whole topic back into what's important to you and who you are. Now, the key here is when you know your own worth, you recognize that you deserve the same care and attention you so freely give to everyone around you. That's really going to ground you in today's conversation because your energy and your vitality, it means it matters. Leaning into understanding your body's communication network, learning your body's unique needs. This is something that does take time. And I think so often clients that I work with can kind of get caught up on, well, I don't have the time. And, even if I did have the time, I feel selfish focusing on myself. But here's the deal. It is worth every second because how you care for yourself impacts what you give the world around you. What you give yourself for breakfast impacts how you show up for either your meeting or the PTA meeting or your workout, like whatever it is you have after you drop the kids off or after that initial morning routine. Whatever you ate for breakfast is going to impact how you carry yourself into that next circumstance. So while, yes, life is busy and we have so much going on, I can't think of anything that would be more important than understanding how to take care of our body. When you value how you show up in the world, which I know every single person listening to this podcast does, because people who listen to podcasts are just naturally people who are looking to better themselves. Like you care about what you have to offer. Personalized nutrition becomes the key to unlocking your potential. It truly does. It is literally energy. Like a calorie is literally a metric measuring the amount of energy within a food. And so understanding how to give our body what it needs truly is our lifeline. So when we look at biofeedback through that values compass, it's a big deal. But let's actually take some tactical tips. So let's go into how we become a biofeedback boss. The thing is, your body is constantly giving you clues. The question is, are we abreast to how our body communicates to us, and are we listening? Here are some of the most common biofeedback mechanisms that I see presented in my office that are linked to nutrition. One of them is waking up in the middle of the night. I hear this over and over again from women, and I've been in this category too, where we fall asleep really hard and fast, but then we wake up between the hours of 2 and 4 a.m. This can be directly linked to our nutrition. The thing about your body is that it sustains you while you sleep, and you don't run on no energy. You actually pull from your reserves and some of your glycogen, which is your stored carbohydrate. you pull from that energy reserve while you sleep. And if you're not getting enough of it during the day, your savings account's going to run short and you will get a kick of adrenaline that wakes you up in the middle of the night because you don't have enough glucose. You get a low blood sugar. So waking up in the middle of the night is a strong biofeedback indicator that you're not getting what your body needs. Your energy after a meal. So often I hear folks say that when they eat, they feel more lethargic. Guys, this is again a really strong indicator that your body's saying, hey, what you're doing needs to be reevaluated. Food should give you an energy boost. If you feel an energy dip after what you eat, it could mean that there is an imbalance in the macronutrients that you're consuming. And while that sounds like maybe it might sound more scientific than it actually is, but really what that means is we just need to look at what you're eating and like rebalance it. It doesn't mean necessarily that we need to completely revamp like the same lunch you've been packing for years if you love it and you're attached to it, but it may mean like a simple tweak. So I had this one woman I was working with, and she made these beautiful salads for lunch, like absolutely beautiful. And she was getting this like reactive hypoglycemia after eating. And so when we looked at her lunch, I realized her carb intake was actually pretty low. It was low at breakfast and low at lunch. So the only thing we did was add a half cup of quinoa to her salad. And it completely changed how her body digested that salad. I mean, it was incredible. She had the energy to go back into the work she needed to do. She didn't feel that energy crash after eating lunch. And talk about a great way to set yourself up for the second half of the day. Some of the other common biofeedback tools or responses that the clients I work with will report are gut imbalances or inability to process certain foods. So gut imbalances, I talk about that a lot on the show. You guys know I love the poop report. I love it when we pay attention to how our body is processing food. But let's take this one a little bit farther this time. When you have a sensitivity to a food, or if you eat a specific food and your body doesn't feel good after eating it, that can be a sign that something is off. I recently had a client who said that they had a really hard time digesting whey protein, but this was new. Like it hadn't been happening in the past. And whey protein is one of the most bioavailable proteins to your body. So if your body has a hard time digesting it, that is an indicator that there might actually be an imbalance in your gut. And so we did some further testing and I looked at what this person was eating and discovered that they had something called hypochlorhydria, which is low stomach acid. So guys, it was literally like giving this person some specific supplements for a few weeks to help their body recalibrate, and they're able to have whey protein again. I mean, what's really cool is a lot of these biofeedback languages and what your body says to you. Like if we listen and get curious and get the right resources on board, so we go to the right professionals, we talk this through, we ask the right questions, there are fixes to it. Like bloating all day long is not normal. Now there will be some changes in your stomach like after you wake up to when you go to sleep, but like extreme bloating to where you can't button your pants, that is not normal. That is your body saying, hey, we're having a hard time. So if you're thinking like, I need to better understand my biofeedback, here's how we're going to do it. Here's your nerdy nutrition nugget for today. Your body has so many built-in biofeedback mechanisms. It is truly a biofeedback machine. And last week we talked about the biofeedback mechanism of hunger. And today I want to talk about the biofeedback mechanism of satiety or fullness. And here's the deal. When your body produces a hunger hormone, that is going to go to your brain and say, hey, feed us. Once there is food in the stomach, like actually this process starts as soon as you start chewing food in your mouth. The body starts to redirect those hunger hormones, pulling them back down and away from the brain and releasing something called leptin, which is a satiety hormone. This is released very slowly, but it increases over time depending on how much food you have, but it's a built-in fullness mechanism. Oftentimes we don't hear this because we're eating distracted, we're finishing our plate, we are not aware of what this even feels like. But here's what I want to challenge you to do is next time you are eating, I want you to start to listen for first the moment you feel an absence of hunger. When does that happen? When you eat, because that's when leptin is already starting to be released into your brain, letting you know, hey, we're starting to get food on board. There's no need to panic anymore. You're not hangry. And when somebody starts to feel that leptin come to their brain, they start to feel that release of hunger, they start to feel some of that satiety. From there, coming to a place of comfortable fullness really should be where you feel energy and you no longer feel hunger. I think so often people equate fullness with like a distended stomach or feeling in their stomach, when in reality, that fullness factor comes when the hunger is gone. So I want you to start to play with the satiety factor. So again, last week we hit on hunger. This week we're hitting on satiety. We're going to start to listen to when our body says like, hey, thank you. We have had enough. So I want to give you one more tool just before we wrap up today. This is your biofeedback check-in. As you go through this week and you're playing with your hunger and your fullness levels, you can actually use this tool called a hunger and satiety scale. And it gives a numerical value to your hunger and your fullness. And when you rate your hunger and fullness before and after you eat, it brings an element of awareness to your body's biofeedback that you didn't have before. And there's not really like a right or wrong way to be on this scale, but what it does is it's activating your mindfulness system or your prefrontal cortex so that you're actually present and engaged while you eat, which is incredibly powerful. It sounds really simple, but very few of us do it, myself included. But this is one of the first steps to take in that biofeedback reconnection journey so that you can become an empowered eater. Guys, I'm just like barely scratching the surface here on biofeedback. Again, we touched on hunger last week. We're hitting on satiety this week. But these are like the very first steps. From there, we can dive in so much deeper into how your body's communicating. I've mentioned some of the different tools we can use. This has been a new addition to my practice this year that has just been amazing, absolutely amazing. And that's pulling in these biofeedback testing tools. We can do like GI mapping, where we actually map out your microbiome. We can do Dutch testing, which is dried urine testing for comprehensive hormones. We can look at your mineral status. Like all of these tools are incredibly powerful. And I want to tell you the story of one of these clients that I worked with recently. She was someone I actually really related to. Like she has 2 kids, just like busy life, wanting to take really good care of herself. She's kind of like adapting to like the post-baby body, you know, where it like doesn't go back all the way, but like, you're like, do I like this? Do I not? You're kind of trying to figure it out. And she came in with like this just stack of supplements and these concerns because she was like, I don't feel good. And so went through her whole nutrition intake, asked her a bunch of questions, got to know her, and ultimately discovered that, yeah, her body was saying something was off. And it wasn't anything that was really apparent from her food log. So we ran a few tests. We looked at her Dutch test. So we looked at her hormones. We also looked at her GI map. And then she had some lab work done previously from her physician. So I had her bring that in. Guys, it was so cool to be able to put that together. It's like a little Tetris game where we can pull all of those pieces together and really get a clear picture of what her body was telling her. And her body was telling her something was wrong because it was. It turned out she had been exposed to E. coli. And so there was a whole slew of dysbiosis or gut imbalance that came because of that. She also had some hormone imbalances, and I suspect that was likely from having baby number 2, and just it takes a while for your body to readjust. But we also found her vitamin D was low. And so it was really cool because we were able to create not just a nutrition plan for her, but a customized nutrition plan focusing on certain foods that would help rebalance her hormones. We were able to get rid of a lot of the supplements she was taking. Oh my gosh, she was spending $127 a month on one supplement. And when I looked at it and looked at all her lab work, she didn't need it. And so she was able to stop her $127 a month supplement subscription and actually get on a supplement stack that was based on what her body needed. And it has been so cool to see her flourishing. It was only 2 weeks after she transitioned things that she felt like she was back to her old self. So it was really powerful. But all that to say, you don't have to keep guessing on what works for you. Your body is giving you the answers. We just have to start tuning in and pairing that biofeedback with updates to our nutrition plan. Guys, this is what's going to help you unlock your best self, your most energized self, because I know y'all are doing a lot. Like, there is so much we have to do in a day. We need lots of energy for it. It's not about chasing perfection here. It's about making intentional choices that truly support how we want to show up in the world. I'm so excited for you to feel this, guys. Play around with that satiety this week. Let me know how it goes. I hope this episode blesses you, and I can't wait to see you here next week for your Empowered Eating Pep Talk. Have a beautiful day, my friend. Cheers and happy eating. That's a wrap on today's Empowered Eating Pep Talk. If this hits home, be sure to leave a review and share it on your social media, tagging me at Jess Brown RD. And girl, if you're ready to take your nutrition and mindset to that next level, I would love to get to know you more. Head on over to jessbrownrd.com to explore things like the Well-Fueled Academy, one-on-one coaching, and all the free resources I have to help you live, eat, and fuel your awesome. Until next time, sister, have an amazing day. Cheers and happy eating.